So beautiful. 78 degrees, Jets football, and we're winning. That's what's going on today. That's why everybody's so psyched. This isn't no happenstance. This is a guarantee, just like Joe Namath said. See that?
There are few things in life you cannot put a price on. Loyalty, tradition, fierce passion. Today is a gigantic family reunion because finally, they're back.
Well, good morning, everybody. This is GreenBean, and we are here in a hotel room in Mobile, Alabama, wrapping up Senior Bowl practice week. Here with you to discuss some New York Jets stuff this morning. We're perusing Twitter, the Twitterverse, see where the pulse is, put our finger on the pulse of the Jets fans. And it seems like today is a day, at least so far this morning, of fear. A lot of people are nervous. Vic Fangio went down to the Dolphins. Ooh, what if we lose this guy? Oh no, what if we lose him and then there's only him? This is what we do. It's part of our process. But I'll show you guys a clip. And this is kind of what we're talking about. And I discussed this last week with a little bit of solution. I don't know how the Jets plan to move forward or how strong any potential handshake deals may be. But let's take a look at this really quickly, and then we'll discuss it.
If you have the opportunity to get a quarterback of Derek Carr's caliber, you bring him in because you never know what can happen. You take your shot. You definitely explore it and see what it's going to take, and you have your meetings and everything. But if not, I think you got to do it. I think you got to do it. I think you have to grab Derek Carr and just leave the Aaron Rodgers thing for, hey, no thanks, but no thanks kind of thing. It could have been great, but Nathaniel Hackett and Derek Carr are going to work just as well together. We have tons of weapons for Derek Carr to exploit. I think it's more than enough. Let me know what you think. As much as I think Aaron Rodgers would be great here, I think you cannot ignore the opportunity to get Derek Carr, and that is the intelligent gripe.
All right. So you see it, right? Now, one of the fears that we're looking at this morning for a lot of Jets fans is exactly that. The idea that if we wait for Aaron Rodgers, we will lose out on Derek Carr. Now, we've talked about this for a few weeks now, maybe even a month. We've discussed it. The truth is that the Jets are going to like one more than the other, and they're going to weigh out potential risks, right? They're going to, risk versus reward. That's what they're going to do. Price tag. We heard last night that the Raiders may or may not have asked Derek Carr to extend, the out window that they have with him so they can try to work out the best deal. And he said, no. He said, go to hell. You guys are a bunch of tools and you screwed me and you embarrassed me and you made me look, you didn't let me finish the season. Like, what is this stuff? And now you want a favor. You know what I mean? So good for Derek Carr. And honest to God, I hope the Raiders get chump change, because the whole Josh McDaniels thing, and we talked about this a lot as well. Josh McDaniels is kind of notorious at this point for being somewhat of a tool, man. He went into Denver, gutted the whole thing just for no reason, got rid of the quarterback, just all kinds of very, very unsuccessful foray. Then screwed over the Indianapolis Colts. Then now, many years later, accepts his first head coaching job and is doing the exact same thing. He's just finding fault in areas where there isn't any. And now he wants a favor. Hey, can you help me out a little bit? Well, what happened to that? Why didn't you let me play the last 2 weeks? So we'll see what happens. Now, I'm real curious to see what you guys think as far as, should they wait for Aaron Rodgers? Let's say Aaron Rodgers is the number one guy. He's the guy, far and away the best, They like the relationship with him and Zach. They like, obviously, the Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers relationship. There's just so many pieces that fit together perfectly. But they can get Derek Carr earlier. What do you think they should do? I'm real curious to see what you guys think. Should they just take it? Again, bird in the hand. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Should they go ahead and do that? Now, I'm of the school of thought, like I just shared in that clip, you take it. That's me. Now, I know the Hackett Rodgers, honestly, man, it's really attractive. But anything can happen in that month after the Derek Carr thing, becomes available. That month or so until Aaron Rodgers, you can really discuss a trade with him and all that. Anything can happen in that month, man. And it would really be something. It would really be something. If we lost out on Derek Carr and then Aaron Rodgers leaves us at the altar. Now, let me ask you guys this, and then we'll go into this whole thing here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Or JP says good afternoon. Good afternoon, JP. Good morning to Braden down there. Let's say we lose out on Derek Carr because we're waiting for Aaron Rodgers. And then Aaron Rodgers does something and we lose out on him. Who's the guy left that you want? Is it Zach? Is it Mike White? Is it Jameis Winston? Is it Jacoby Brissett? Who do you got? I'm curious to hear what you guys think. R&R's here. Good morning. Corey Washington. Good morning to you. Patrick Kinney. You're in on Carr right now. Right. That's kind of where I sit. I think bringing in a Derek Carr and then look, using the draft and free agency to kind of reorganize some pieces, move this guy out, bring this guy in, use the draft to bolster some things. I think a lot can really happen here, man. We have the makings of a nice young core. It looks like they were responding to the systems and stuff that the coaching staff were putting into place. I don't know, guys. It looks pretty good to me. John Hepburn, good morning. And Peter Dax says, right, waiting for A-Rod could be trouble. And that's the whole thing. Yeah, you see that, Ali? Good morning, Ali. He says, now you're the one in the hotel room. It's funny, Ali. Yesterday, I didn't even know. Had no idea. I went on at 10. I didn't know it was a different time zone. I didn't even put that together. I really didn't. And then last night, we were going to start the show an hour later, and Jeremy told us, and that means that the morning show I did an hour late. I don't know. So now I'm all jammed up. I'm all confused and weird. But yeah, now we're down here. It was a real good experience, man. I had a good time here. It's nice being around all this, Now I'm real curious to see what happens on my flight home if they start canceling stuff. Oh, you got to stay here again for another day. I don't want to do that again. That was not fun. Joe S. says James Morgan is an option at quarterback. Yeah, James Morgan. James Morgan, is he? Where is he these days? Does anybody know? Anybody know where James Morgan is? I can look it up, of course, but we know that the Carolina Panthers poached him from our practice squad or waiver claim when we exposed him. And yeah, they kept him for a while, though. I thought they were only going to keep him for a couple of weeks to, get intel, but they kept him for a while. Randy Yaws says, I got that early morning hotel look. Yeah, you know what that look is, right? It's just, especially with a beard like this, I can't push reset without a shower. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? You can get up, you can try to comb and brush, and it doesn't work with me. I need if I don't shower, I look like this. So Harry says Jimmy G. Now this is, again, in the video that I made this week's podcast. Jimmy G is the number 3 that I put forth. And I think in many people's eyes, he is the number 3. Now, the problem with Jimmy G, as we know, is the injury thing. It's not his stats, man. He had a career, I think it's 67% completion percentage. He's good. He's fine. It's the fact that he's only finished a season one time. So Jets fans are pretty spooked about this. Who else we have? R&R wants to bring back Morning. Patrick Kinney says Plan C, Minshew. I'll tell you what. You don't like Minshew, huh? Oh, I like him. I'm totally fine with. Now, look, I think if we get Minshew as our starter, we missed. Don't get me wrong. I think we're going for bigger fish. So if we end up with Minshew, don't let them paint it any other way than we missed out on the 3 guys we were going for, and then we're here. We think we can win, and we're going to obviously try, but they missed out. That would be the truth of it. I would love to see Gardner Minshew brought in here. Like the whole Mike White thing, like, yeah, look, he's fine, I guess. Me personally, if we're going to keep anybody from this previous organization on the squad, like, look, you're going to keep Zach. You're going to try to develop Zach. Bring on Rodgers and/or Carr and Minshew. Just bring them on. Now, that's if Gardner Minshew wants to even leave the Eagles. He might be happy there. Why would he come here for a parallel, So who knows? But if they bring in Minshew and he's our starter, make no mistake, they missed. They missed. Sergeant Cavo says, just get a quarterback. This is getting old. Well, how's it getting old? What do you mean, Sergeant Cavo? They can't. What do you mean? It's not like everybody's dragging their ass, dude. What does that mean? It'd be one thing if they could. They can't. They're stuck. Everybody's stuck right now. The league year doesn't allow. You can't just trade and do shit when anytime you want. You got to wait. Randy says, I was hearing Carr to Las Vegas, which means we just need to be on Carr and just get one if the top names before it's really. Carr is in Las Vegas there, Randy. I'm not sure what you're saying there. I'm sorry. Carr, Rodgers to Las Vegas. There it is. Okay, good correction. I see it. Well, that'd be interesting. Like, here's the thing with Aaron Rodgers, and we talked about this a little bit last night. The Packers are inclined to send him somewhere that he wants to go. Like, he doesn't have a no trade clause, but he could very easily say no. And then on top of that, he's been there since when was he? 2004 or something like that. Let me see. Aaron Rodgers. Well, let's see when he was. So he's been there a long time. 2005. So he's been there a long time, man. And, he's been great. MVPs, Super Bowls, playoffs. They're not inclined to just take him and throw him in the garbage and say, screw you. So they're going to work with him. So he's got to be okay with going somewhere. Now, does he want to go to the Raiders? There's one good thing over there, and that's Devontae Adams. But let's not forget, Josh McDaniels is over there too. And Josh McDaniels is kind of known as somewhat of a douche. So I don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers' opinion of him is. So are you guys afraid? That's the whole thing. Do we have trust in Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh to get it done the best way possible? Are we out front, or are we McCagnon in this thing and we're going to stand outside hoping some scraps fall to us? We're the little fish on the side of the shark's mouth, hoping some prime cuts slip out. What do you think? Who are we? Are we out front? Are we the big dogs in this? Or are we going, no. We get ours first. Step aside. We're up. We're New York. We're the Jets. We got Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson. You step aside. You wait for us to eat first. You think that's the way it is? I don't know. It'd be new. John Hepburn says, I look a little better today. You think? Oh, I got to take my steroid. Hey, Tom, would you mind grabbing me that prescription bottle right there? I want to take it as early as possible. I want to get it in. Thank you, buddy. Let's see. Thank you, Hepburn, for reminding me. I don't feel any better. You know what it is? It's when I eat, dude. It's physically exhausting to consume food, everybody. It's the weirdest thing in the world. There's a chicken salad restaurant right here. And we had that. And let me tell you, that was utterly exhausting to eat that chicken salad sandwich. Hold on just a moment. There we go. Thank you, Hepburn. So Jennifer Slattery checking in says the Raiders could end up keeping Carr past the 15th, taking the cap hit, figuring there will be someone willing to trade for him at this point. Well, that's the thing, too. They could certainly work it out that the team trading for him has to pay that money. I would imagine right there, they include money in deals all the time. So I'm not sure why. Somebody explained it to me like that. They would still have to pay. It really would be prohibitive for them. Where it becomes an issue is no matter how you slice it, if he's on the roster February 15th or 16th, $7.5 million of their 2024 cap comes off as well. He's got $7.5 million dead cap in 2024. So that's where it is. You know, that's a little something. And look, it's not 30 million. But $7.5 million is nothing to shake a stick at, man. It's that's, you know, you can get a Jordan Whitehead for that. Arnar says swing big for A-Rod. You never get a hit when you don't swing. But look, a lot of people think Derek Carr could be the swing. Derek Carr is a great quarterback, dude. Dom, how do you feel about Derek Carr? Are you in on Derek Carr?
I mean, am I in on it?
Yeah.
I mean, I would prefer Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm 100% in on Aaron Rodgers. And if Derek Carr is the fallback, I'm not going to be like utterly disappointed as I would if
Dom hates Derek Carr. That's what I'm hearing. You guys hear that?
No, I hate Gardner Minshew.
You hate Gardner Minshew? Good morning, Jason. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people's fall there, right? For some reason, lots of Jets fans, not that Don was saying this, but a lot of Jets fans, they just don't like Derek Carr. They can't really put a finger on it. I don't like the cold weather games. I don't like this or that. His attitude, like they find something. But when you just remove all your feelings and look at it, this guy's been among the better quarterbacks in the league for a decade. Man, I'd love that. Jason, good morning. Martin Shilton, if JD wants to play quarterback poker, he has to make sure that he's got the vet backup if the worst case scenario takes place and we get none. So we got to find out, Martin. I think you're correct. Who is that vet backup, right? That's what we really want to find out. So it's going to be interesting because, look, today is February 3rd, so we have 12 more days. We have 12 more days until the Derek Carr thing happens. Now, you look around the articles this morning, and there's a couple that say Derek Carr is likely to be released. Amazeballs. So if you can just go to Derek Carr and go, dude, $38.5 million, 5 years, and whatever, and you don't have to give up a pick. Can you imagine getting Derek Carr and not giving up a single pick? And he might just say that, like, screw you, I'm not going anywhere. Release me. He might do that to them. They handled it the wrong way, man. In my opinion. Would you agree, Dom? Like benching him for the last 2 games and all that, like kind of embarrassing, right? Like just like, why you do that to the guy?
Yeah, I don't really know what that was all about. If anything, like, smile to the crowd and say, oh, yeah, Derek Carr's our guy. And then before February 15th, you're like,
Totally. That's what they should have done. Instead, they I don't know, man. It seems like Derek Carr has been the quarterback here for 9 years. You have a coach here who's known for doing this, comes in 2 games before the end of the season, benches him. Right? It's a bad look. Like Dom just said, just say, no, Derek Carr's our guy. And you sit down with him and go, hey, here's what we're going to do, buddy. But we're going to let you look as good as possible. Let me know which teams you'd be open to going to. Like, you work it. Now he's not in. Why would he work with them?
Yeah. Well,
he doesn't have to.
I'll tell you this. I know for a fact that Las Vegas is one of the most cash poor teams in the league.
Really?
Yeah.
The Davises? Really?
Yeah.
Because they had that stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. So this my guess is 1,000% financially based. So even pitch it to like that to cars. Say like, listen, we're just not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
We want to help you
Right.
kind of transition best you can. We're going to make it look this way. You tell us what's going to happen, but by February 15th, you're gone.
See, I like that. That's a great point from the legendary Dom C, everybody. Like the Raiders currently happen to be cash poor. So just sit down with them, man, and talk to them. If that's the case, look, we really can't afford you. We're looking to, we're going to have an earlier pick than we usually do or whatever. We're thinking of grabbing one of these quarterbacks, and we're going to go about it that way, So we want, let us know. Here's the teams that are interested. We got the Jets. Then there's the Jets and the Jets and the Jets. And any one of those teams, you can go to them and just sleep on it. Take your pick. Let us know which Jets you want to go to. And then we'll talk to them. And instead, they benched them, made them, it's like, why do that? Arizona Jet checking in. Good morning, sir, or ma'am, or what have you. I thought Jimmy G was old. He just can't stay healthy. We fear we don't get Rodgers or Carr because we are pessimistic fans. Every dog has their day. Well, Arizona, right, man? Why would it be that the New York Jets fans have a pessimistic, overarching attitude? Why? Why would that be? I can't imagine. But I think, one of the things that we, this is a very important year for us because this could lead into a very strong shift. The beginning of last year, lots of Jets fans, we were out on guys like Ulbricht, right? We didn't like Ulbricht. Remember the first couple of games, it looked very much like last year's 32nd ranked defense. We were out on like LaFleur was using Cager instead of Garrett Wilson. There was a lot of weirdness. And then all of a sudden, we turn this corner. Robert Saleh talks about receipts, and then that becomes this rallying cry. We're stuffing receipts down everybody's throats. And people start to consider, wait a second. Maybe the Jets are onto something here. The late season collapse removed a lot of those good feelings. But if we go into this offseason and we don't have 2 first-round picks and 2 seconds, so it's obviously going to be different than last year. But if we can have a positive offseason, free agency, draft, similar to what we did last year, albeit less, we're going to start, and then we go into the season and start winning some games, looking like a legitimate team. We're going to start having more faith in this organization. And then when things do go wrong or we do miss out or what have you, we'll start to have faith and give our guys a little bit of benefit of the doubt and go, well, hey, man, good. I'm glad he didn't do that. Or, hey, he missed. So what? He'll get it next time. We don't have that because we're used to guys floundering a little bit and we fire them. They suck. They flounder because they suck and we get rid of them. We need to this is a very important year to getting over that hump. You see what I do? I'm always like, I'm all over the joint, man. But this is a very big year for getting over that hump and getting to a place where that pessimistic fan mentality that Arizona Jets talking about can maybe start to subside somewhat. Now, some of us, it's going to take 10 years. It'll take 3 Super Bowls for them to start thinking positively. There's going to be Jets fans. I tell you what, we win a Super Bowl, there's going to be Jets fans saying shit like, we got lucky, that we shouldn't have won, but whatever. It's going to happen, but I don't know. We'll take it. They're family. They're the drunk uncle. It is what it is, man. You love them too. Matt O'Leary checking in. Good morning, Matt. Hope you feel better, GreenBean. You're a trooper. I don't know. Thank you. I don't know if I feel better. I've been some stuffy here. I just took an allergy pill. See if that helps. But yeah, the Bell's palsy thing is weird in this dynamic, like having to talk all the time. It's weird, man. Like I feel fatigued. Like I can only feel this side of my face, and it's just like hangs out, blah, blah, blah. And then eating and everything else. But I appreciate it. I wish I could put more stuff out, more. You know what I did, Matt? I'll tell you a story. Right before I left, I filmed the video and I edited it. And I was working out of an external hard drive, right? I won't make this long, I promise. And I get to the end of the edit and something happens where the video pulls out and it's gone. So I'm like, holy shit. I put it back in and I re-edit it again. And at the last second, it does the same thing. And then I had to go catch a flight. So I spent an hour and a half editing to get you guys this really nifty video that I had going. It never got out because for whatever the hell reason. So that's real frustrating. And when you add Bell's palsy to that, then it's a problem, man. Devin, what's up, Devin? Carr is a great culture fit. We can win Super Bowl with him. Hopefully JD doesn't wait too long on Rodgers. Carr and Mike White. Number 2, Zach sits and learns, then trades him. Well, look, I'm going to play the clip again. There's about 70 more people in here than were here when I played it. So this is my take on it. This is a clip from this week's podcast. It's about 45 seconds, so no big deal here. Check it out. This is my thoughts on the matter.
You have the opportunity to get a quarterback of Derek Carr's caliber. You bring him in because you never know what can happen. You take your shot. You definitely explore it and see what it's going to take, and you have your meetings and everything. But if not, I think you got to do it. I think you got to do it. I think you got to do it. I think you have to grab Derek Carr and just leave the Aaron Rodgers thing for, hey, no thanks, but no thanks kind of thing. It could have been great, but Nathaniel Hackett and Derek Carr are going to work just as well together. We have tons of weapons for Derek Carr to exploit. I think it's more than enough. Let me know what you think. As much as I think Aaron Rodgers would be great here, I think you cannot ignore the opportunity to get Derek Carr, and that is the intelligent gripe.
So there it is. So you see, like, it's hard, right? It's hard to ignore the idea. Like, I'm a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, right? Like, you look. And if I'm going to really tell you guys something, I was in a business deal not too long ago where I had a contract and everything, and I had expectations for this huge windfall, but it was in the future. And I did all these things with that in mind. And I put all sorts of present day benefits to the side for that. And guess what happened at the witching hour, the last minute? You know what happened? Take a guess. That's right. I got screwed and it didn't happen. So I sacrificed everything for nothing. So that's what we don't want to get into with Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers. Me personally, I do think that Aaron Rodgers might be the best fit. Nathaniel Hackett, Zach Wilson, the relationship, all the stuff. And I think, look, Aaron Rodgers hasn't had this type of a collection of assets in a while. Obviously, Devontae Adams is a stud, but for whatever reason, the Packers don't do all that much in the ways of giving him, like, using all their assets to give him a supporting cast. It's almost like they just know he's going to give them a certain level, and they throw him 3rd round guys, and that's kind of what they do with him. Even using that 1st round pick, a 1st and a 4th, they used a 4th round pick to move up a spot to grab a quarterback. Like, it doesn't make any sense, man, to me. And Aaron Rodgers was pissed, rightfully so. Like, why don't you get me a damn wide receiver, man? Why don't you get me a big tight end? Give me Freiermuth, for God's sakes. So I think Aaron Rodgers coming over here with the collection of guys we have, let's not forget, I know, guys like Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims are a little bit on the outside looking in here, but that's LaFleur. LaFleur did that, guys. And we've been complaining about that for 2 years now. LaFleur did that. Elijah Moore, there's no good reason why you can't use Elijah Moore. There's no good reason why you can't utilize Denzel Mims, why you're making him learn 3 positions before he can play. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And that's all gone. Hopefully the new offensive coordinator comes in, looks around and goes, wait a minute. Garrett Wilson's obviously my number 1 wide receiver. Elijah Moore, dude, I loved him in college, loved him coming out. He's a stud. Denzel Mims is all I need for whether it's go routes or, the contested 50-50 type balls, possession receiver over the middle. Denzel Mims is fearless over the middle. You know what I mean? So, and then obviously you got Berrios. I know some fans are out on Berrios and we don't know what we're going to do. You can save almost $6 million if you cut him. But again, I think Berrios, he's had, more good years going into that second half of the season where he really looked lost. I don't know if that's enough to get rid of a guy. He's an asset, in my opinion. A year ago, he was an all-pro return guy. So, you don't want to forget that. But anyway, you look around at the weapons that we do have. We're stocked in the tight end room. We got good running backs. Aaron Rodgers could be something here. But that all said, I just think it's hard to pass. Carr. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Rich. Look at you guys. Peter says we don't have quarterback 2 on the roster yet. That's going to be really interesting. It really is. Do the Jets feel like Mike White is the long-term backup quarterback? I mean, I wouldn't have an issue with it. I think he can come in a game or two and play. But is he the guy, or do you want to go out there and get a Jacoby Brissett, get a Gardner Minshew, or a Sam Darnold, something like that? Jason Edwards, good morning, sir. Thank you for the super chat. How is it our fan base on YouTube know more than reporters on TV? That's why I get my Jets content from you guys. Well, I'll tell you what. One of the questions I would have asked Joe Douglas if I was able to see him, I have a few, like on deck, you know what I mean? But one of them is the Jets have some of the most knowledgeable fans, like that we really pay attention. And we've been right for decades. We've watched this team. Not that you need us, but is there any way that we can have like a little panel where every year you just get a bead on us? Like we sit down for an hour and you talk to like 3 or 4 of us, me, O'Leary, Ryan, Dom, you know what I mean? Ali. And we just sit down and we tell you where we are. Tell you what we're looking at, tell you how we see it, because you're in it and we're just outside and we can give you that perspective. I would lobby for something like that, Jason, because the truth is, while a lot of us are just plumb crazy, a lot of us are what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, let's just say just difficult for the sake of being difficult. So we got lots of that stuff. But underneath all of it, we have a very engaged fan base that know what they're looking at, man. There's that famous clip when the Jets drafted Kenny O'Brien over Dan Marino in the famous 1983 quarterback draft. The guy says, well, obviously, the Jets know something that the people up here don't. And that's the assumption. And it's always the assumption. We've been having that argument for decades, man. I've been on Jetnation and the Greenhouse, and there's always somebody to say, well, dude, you don't think that maybe they know more than you? And of course, they have more intel, they have more staff, they have more access, all those things. But at the end of the day, if you just go back through the years, us fans, we were right significantly more than the organization was. Now, Joe Douglas's organization is different. And I like that. And obviously, I have a lot more faith in them. But over the years, man, I'm telling you, there were so many guys I wouldn't have touched that the Jets brought on. And there were guys I was pounding the table for, and the Jets didn't even look at. And they had great careers, Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like, it's so easy to see. Like, for example, one of the biggest ones for me was I wanted Ed Reed so bad. And the Jets decided to take Brian Thomas. And there's that and Brian Thomas was a good player, but I don't even think he might have made one Pro Bowl, right? And there was that famous quote from Herm Edwards, who, when he went to the owner, he went to Woody Johnson and he said, just know the guy we're going to choose is not who people are expecting. Like, there's going to be negative backlash, but this is the guy that we want. And Woody said, well, dude, grab the guy you want. That was a thing. I mean, that was actually something that Herm Edwards said. He sat down, him and who was it? Terry Bradway, the general manager of Bradway at the time. They sat down with the owner and just said, just so you know, we're going to take a guy that's kind of out of left field. Nobody's expecting us to take him. And we're going to get negative backlash, but this is the guy we're taking. And he said, sure. And they took Brian Thomas instead of friggin' Ed Reed, dude. Now, Why were they able to do that? Excuse me, guys. I'm really sorry. I'm so congested. Why were they able to do that? Well, it was another one of those classes where a lot of people felt as though the second and maybe even third round safeties are going to give you potentially the same output as the first round safeties. There was a couple. I forget the guy. Who was it? There was a safety that went in the top 5, I think, top 10. He was another good one. But, dude, I'm telling you, that draft, I was screaming for Ed Reed. Screaming. Remember, like this year with Kyle Hamilton? I was screaming for Ed Reed. We took Brian Thomas, and we all know how it goes. Again, Brian Thomas was he was a good player. I liked him. Don't get me wrong. And he's had his moments. Here, I'll show you this real quick. Real quick, I'll show you this. This is Brian Thomas. This is the guy I'm talking about.
Chargers. 2nd and 9, and Rivers. What a stick by his own guy. By his own guy. Colbert.
So you see, that was in the playoffs too. I remember that moment, guys. I was in the South Florida Jets fan club in Davie, Florida at Hammerjacks. There was no less than 200 Jets fans in this room screaming and yelling. And when that hit happened, I literally yelled with no planning, no thought behind it. I just yelled, "He's effing dead! He's effing dead!" Like, that's how excited it made me. So anyway, he's good. He's a good player. And at one point, he was the longest tenured Jet. But again, he's not Ed Reed. All right. Green and White Militia, good morning and thank you. Good morning, GreenBean. And folks, I'm really at the point where I don't care which one they get. Just win, please. DC or AR. Now, if you guys don't know what the code is, I think he's saying Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers are our only options. So he doesn't care which one. It just got to be one of them. And I'm kind of with that. Like Jimmy G, I think he would be a significant upgrade. Significant. But you have to know going in, like, he's more than likely not going to make it through the season. And that's a shame. I mean, if you use every other resource, because the positive thing with Jimmy G with bringing him on is that he's not going to cost any picks. He's a free agent. Unless they franchise him, which they're not going to do. So you can get him for nothing as far as draft capital. So you bring him in and you retain all of your assets. So you bring Jimmy G in and the first 4 picks should be offensive line. You know what I mean? Seriously. Don't worry about it. Just bring on offense, get a tackle, get a center, get a guard. The first 3 picks should be Paris Johnson, John Michael Schmitz, and Cody Mauch. That's what they should do. Let me tell you, that guy's big. Big dude. Big dude. Braden says, Dom C is a legend, isn't he? It's obvious. He's having a ball. Yeah. Well, we're creating the legend of Dom C. It's what we're doing. You know what I mean? I think Dom C is running a mock draft right now over there. Is that what you're doing? Oh, yeah. That's what he does, you know? Let's see. Good morning, Snoopy. He says, it's getting scary, y'all. Do you think Rodgers returns to Green Bay? Well, look, we have those reports, right? And we don't know how accurate anything is. You know, we really don't. This is smokescreen season, and it's fake story season. Don't forget about that. There's all sorts of, we call it anonymous source season, right? But the word is Green Bay's ready to pass the torch over to Jordan Love. I mean, dude, he's been there 3 years. He's a first-round pick that they traded up for, so they liked him. He's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers and developing with this staff for 3 years. I mean, that's like, it's ideal. I mean, the only other situation that's even comparable is Kyle Trask down there in Tampa. The only problem there is that, the Todd Bowles regime Todd Bowles is doing Todd Bowles things. That's the only downside. But Kyle Trask, he was a second-round pick, and he had some people had him with a first-round grade. He could have very easily went in the late first. He ends up going in the second. He sits behind Tom Brady for 2 years, Byron Leftwich, and the rest of the offensive staff. I mean, they're known as a good staff. So he might be ready to come in and poised, just ready to come in and light it up. Don't forget, he was the quarterback with Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney in college. So, they couldn't have had their years without him. So anyway, the whole Jordan Love thing, it's like just like what happened with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. It's like they're just kind of ready to move, to move on, get that huge cap hit off their books to a degree. Some of it's going to stay. They can't. There's dead cap all over the place. So anyway, it looks like they're gonna move on. But it's very possible they could just they could sit down together and say, you know what, man, let's just call this. Let's just wrap it up. Let's just use our picks. We'll get you a nice stud wide receiver. We'll get you a big tight end. You know what I mean? They could do that and say, maybe we trade Jordan Love. Now, let me ask you guys this. If the option was, we'll give you Jordan Love for a second, something along those lines, would you do that? I'm going to look in the answer in the chat if you could. I'm going to look at that one. Would you do that? Again, first round pick, and he's been developing for 3 years behind one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. A lot of us are thinking that Aaron Rodgers coming here would be one of the things that pushes Zach toward a successful future. So if you think that, why not 3 years for Jordan Love? If you think it's going to work with Zach. Randy Yaws said, love some Brian Thomas, but man, I know, dude. And you know what we ended up doing? Like I said, that was considered a strong safety class. We grabbed our safety in the second round. Anybody remember who he is? John McGraw. And I liked him. You know what I mean? Okay, but come on. Brian Thomas and McGraw do not equate to what Ed Reed is and was. And everybody knew it. He was going to be that. Everybody knew. And the Jets just famously, it's what we do, dude. It's what we do. So anyway, if I was with Joe Douglas, I would suggest that and say, Joe, every year, but beginning of the offseason, I think it would be beneficial to have a few of us come in. You set up lunch, right? We get maybe some sub sandwiches, maybe some Cat's Deli, something. We come in, we spend 2 hours together, and we give you what the fan base is feeling, what we're thinking, and how we see it. And maybe it, maybe some of it doesn't help, but even if 10%, if we can open your doors, open your eyes to something of how we know what's going on, I think it would be beneficial. I really do. I really do, Randy. Nick says the rumor is Brian Thomas entered a Denny's with that music. Yeah, that's his music, man. Matt O'Leary with a fun fact. My best friend's mom delivered Brian Thomas's kid, and he never ended up paying his bill. No way. See? I knew we should have drafted Ed Reed, Matt. I knew it. That is a fun fact. Who knew? I'll tell you, it's a fun fact for me. It's completely outside the subject here, but the hospital that I had my son, and by me, I mean my wife, of course. I did very little. But we were going to have home birth, and he came too early, and we had to go to the hospital and everything. But Matt Damon had just had his child in there, and they're happy to tell us. They were all very proud of it. We just delivered Matt Damon's kid. Really? Yeah. So, okay. Now I'm looking forward to I'm going to look at your answers here Good morning, older than dirt, Walt. I'm looking for your answers about what if the Jets, what if Green Bay says, on second thought, we're going to keep Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love is on the trading block, and we'll give you him for a second. You know what I mean? What do you think? Let me know what you think. I'm trying to see your answers here. Oh, you don't have to, Phil, you don't have to worry about being late, buddy. No way. Okay. Albert says yes. I think you're answering the question. Jason Edwards says no. Andrew says tempting, possibly. All right. Captain K Techno doesn't like the idea. Who's that? Salman. Jordan Love for a second. Yes. Like, that's the thing. I mean, obviously it's a huge question mark. You have no real data except his pedigree, the first round selection. And he was a first round quarterback on most people's boards. He was the middle of the first. And again, he's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. He's been being developed by, a well thought of offensive mind. He was, hey, not for nothing, guys. I'm going to point this out too. He was developing there for 2 years under Nathaniel Hackett. What do you think about that? Albert Lugo likes the idea. Braden likes the idea too. Look at this. Sergeant Cabo, only if you don't want the coaching staff to stay. So that's a no, right? If you're looking to get rid of the coaching staff, yeah, sure, bring them on. No, I don't really have any opinion specifically on Jordan Love. I wasn't looking at quarterbacks too deeply that year that he came out. So I didn't really dig into Jordan Love all that much. Randy Oz likes the idea. Rich, yeah, unproven commodity for Rich, yeah. Phil Adams just says no. Illinois State University Redbird for life. Did I get it? Did I get it right? JD and Saleh can't go in on Love. Too much riding on them keeping their jobs to go to a war with an unproven quarterback. I think that's a sound point. Yes, sir.
The thing with Love is his contract has one more year. So if he's not the guy, then you have no court, then you got to start this whole thing all over again. You don't know what's going on with Zach. You don't know what's going on with Love. That's why I'm very hesitant personally about Jordan Love.
So Dom doesn't love the idea because we're coming around the mountain to the end of his rookie deal. So if he comes and he's great, immediately you got to pay him. But then the other side, what if he's not? Then next year we're doing the same thing. No matter what, I think it would be really, the hope is that whatever decision we make, Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr, Gardner Minshew, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, whatever it is, that it fixes this for the foreseeable future, for the next few years, right? We want it to be the next 3-4 years, whatever it is. We don't want to be doing this next year. That's the hope. Jets Forever says, Jordan Love isn't available. Are they y'all that dumb? Why would they trade Rodgers, heir apparent? I tell you, Jets Forever. Like, what is that? Just the way, like, why that way? You know what I mean? We're discussing something. It's called a hypothetical. That's what it's called, Jets Forever. We're exploring a potential option. And if they were going to keep Aaron Rodgers, and because Jordan Love said, I'm not doing this. I want to play. And he can make noise, he can hold out, he can do all the stuff. So grumpy. Such a little grump. I'll tell you, man. Jason Edwards says, GreenBean, totally agree with the fan base take. I know, man. We should be in on that. Not Jets Forever, of course. Keep him far away. But me, definitely. Chris2485 checking in. Would love Aaron Rodgers, get Derek Carr, trade down 13 for an extra second. Well, that's, I saw somebody playing with those kinds of trade. Really good, interesting idea, and I like that.
Does he mean Aaron Rodgers or Anthony Robinson?
It's got to be Aaron Rodgers because that's what we're talking about. Anthony Robinson would be
Richardson.
And that would be, I mean, maybe you are. It's like that's out of nowhere. You know what I mean? That's completely outside of what we're talking about. So are you saying
Anthony Richardson or
Anthony Richardson? Because that'd be a rookie, the very raw, yet physically talented rookie. But I don't know. I think you're talking about Aaron Rodgers because that's what we're talking about. But the idea that, like, okay, so you get Derek Carr, we trade 13, but we get Derek Carr in their second, something like that, that would be an attractive trade. Remember, that's what they were offering for Deebo Samuel. We had an offer on the table for Deebo Samuel, but it included their second round pick as well. Like they were going to get number 10, I think it was. We were going to get Deebo and their second, and that's why they said no. Franco says it looks like Connor McGovern's out and not coming back. Well, what happened that firmed that up? I think it's likely. I mean, dude, he's gonna be the number one center on the market, and this is probably his last big payday. He's gonna take it. He's gonna take it. Now, somebody asked me yesterday, you think if Aaron Rodgers comes on board, or even Derek Carr, but let's say Aaron Rodgers comes on board, you think Connor McGovern might take a little less because he realizes he really might be able to go to a championship and play for Aaron? I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think too much. It's not going to be like he can get 13.5 and he takes 8 or 9. That ain't happening. He's going to get anywhere from 11 to 14 million, I think. You look at Spot Track, I think Spot Track has him as a 13.5, his market value. You are always grumpy, Jets forever. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Right, so this is good. One-Eyed Willie says, from this point forward, when we're talking about Richardson, we say AR-15. That's how we know the difference. Okay, Dom, you in?
I'm in.
All right, there you go.
Not ever say AR-15 though. Promise.
Right. Let's just never say that. We can reference him. John Hepburn checking in. Best case scenario, Rodgers come here. We win 2 Super Bowls in a row, and Zach takes over because he's figured it out. And we ride him for the next 12 years, and he's a top 5 quarterback. Right, John? Wouldn't that be the best? We bring Aaron Rodgers in. We get right to 2 Super Bowls. He retires in glory. Ticker tape parade down the street in New York City. And Zach Wilson has had the perfect amount of time and development. He takes over. He's a top 5 quarterback for the next 12 years. And he gets us deep into the playoffs every year. We're a playoff. Wouldn't that be delightful? Oh, guys. Can it ever be like that for us? Why not? The Patriots used to suck. The Colts used to suck before Peyton Manning. Remember when the Colts were in the AFC East, guys? They were a laughingstock. We used to lose games to them 6-3. It was terrible. I sat through so many Colt games in the stadium. Then they get Peyton Manning and everything's changed. Look at the Saints. The Saints were the Aints forever before Drew Brees. And they had a couple good years with Bear, right? And a few others. But overall, they were garbage. Drew Brees comes, Sean Payton, and all of a sudden, now the Saints are this great team. Look at the Seahawks. They were another team. Garbage for years. When and why can't it be us? Jason Edwards checking in. Thank you, Jason. AR gets us a chip next year, hopefully. Derek Carr gets us 5 years of playoff visits with this defense. I'll take both. Yeah, and then that's the thing. Like, there's that saying, Jason, that, Derek Carr gets us in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers gets us to the Super Bowl. I see it. I get it. But you get into the playoffs, You can, I mean, that's it. You know, anybody can win and in the playoffs. So I don't see Derek Carr as limited. Like we get into playoffs and there's no, I don't see that. Derek Carr's never had the team to be able to help him get to the Super Bowl. You know, I don't see it, but I do see that Aaron Rodgers is obviously a little bit more bang for the buck, of course, but he's also 9 years older, 9 years older, whatever it is. I'll take both too, buddy. Dark Soldier, good morning, man. He's checking in, so hello. Missing out on Carr for a chance at A-Rod is way too risky. Get Carr and keep your picks. Carr missed 2 games in 9 years. Dude, think about that. Right, Soldier? Zach Wilson has missed more games in each of his first 2 seasons than Carr has in 9 years. It's amazing. But then Aaron Rodgers, too. He's only had, 2 seasons, I think, that he hasn't played them all. But, yeah, 2 games in 9 years is amazing. It is amazing. Does he hate being called that? I don't know. I don't know anything, so you tell me. Jim Pock says, if AVT had to play with different offensive linemen on a regular basis, his play would suffer too. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we're hoping to be able to start doing is to be consistent on the offensive line. Having a revolving door with different guys, I mean, we're always at a disadvantage. Get your guys and have them play together for 5 years. That'd be optimal. So, all right, well, let's see. No more Utah guys from Craig, right? You know, we were watching Hall play yesterday. Sloppy. We were right next to him.
I posted a touchdown pass of his though. That was more of the Marvian overshown mistake.
Yeah. That was a nice clip though. But yeah, generally he's, I mean, I was talking to some people. They say he's more than likely going undrafted, the BYU quarterback Hall this year. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, look, that's kind of where we are. Try not to bite into the fear sandwich, right? It is what it is. Like Sergeant Cavo said, it's like, I'm done with this already. The truth is we can't do anything. So it's going to be a little while longer. If you're tired of it, just stop reading all the crazy articles one way or the other because it'll freak you out. Don't forget, a lot of this stuff is designed to make us nervous. So we consume, right? So we consume more information. But yeah, I mean, no matter how it goes, we can't do anything until February 15th, I believe, or maybe right before that. I'm not sure. But Derek Carr's up first. Let's see how it goes. See if the Jets really want to take that swing. It'd be interesting to see Derek Carr accept a trade to the Commanders or something like that, So yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, you have a great day, everybody. This has been Good Morning Jets. Dom C is flying back today. I'm going to hang out for the Senior Bowl tomorrow, and we'll see how it all goes. But you guys have a great day. And what am I going to play for you guys? I'll just play you a random clip. You have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Go Jets.
This is when the Colts had Peyton Manning waiting there because he didn't come out the year before because Parcells, our brilliant head coach, decided not to tell Archie Manning he couldn't guarantee that he would take his kid first. It's just the stupidest thing. History could have been totally different for us, Jets fans. But it's not. And it sucks because Parcells is one of the greatest coaches we've ever had, if not the greatest. So how can you complain? You can't. I hate that prison cell. I hate it. I want to yell. I want to bitch about it. But I can't because Parcells was good. Traded back. Got James Farrier and Dedrick Ward out of that one. That's what I think.